Hello from sunny Wiltshire in what was once Wessex. So here we are doing our usual walk, being blue. It's been a busy weekend. There's a friend's wedding. I'm going to move the camera around there. You can hear the noise. There's blue in the background. You can hear the noise of a tractor in the background when they're cultivating field, but I think that's going to get quieter in a minute as we walk further away. Anyway, I thought I'd just check in and say hello and tell you what's going on. So yeah, it's a weird time actually. I feel very strange at the moment. My dog's coming. That it feels like we've in England or in Britain, maybe in England especially, feels like everyone's kind of forgotten about COVID, even though hundreds of people are dying a day from it and tens of thousands of people are coming down with it. So we went to a wedding packed with people, no pretense at social distancing, and not a single person wore masks. We came prepared with masks and it just seemed pointless because nobody else was wearing them, and half of them there were healthcare professionals because the bride is a nurse. So it was all very strange. It felt weird. I mean, hoping that most of them, like us, had done tests beforehand. Obviously me and my wife are both double vaccinated as well, so we're doing our bit, but yeah, it does feel very strange to suddenly be thrown back into society and after so many months of being distant. But anyway, we had a good time, and now the sun's out, so wonderful. It's right at that turn of the season. We're getting to the end of the summer, beginning of autumn, and everything in the writing front is sort of going to plan. I've been preparing. I'm reading up the history of the next stage of Bearbrand's adventures, and if you've hopefully by now you've read For Lord and Land. If not, cover your ears now, or don't watch any further, because I'm just going to talk a little bit about what happens at the very end. So at the very end, it won't be a surprise if you read For Lord and Land that Bearbrand is due to head off across the narrow sea to the continent, to Europe. And so I'm having to research now, France originally, so the start of the journey is to France. Originally eventually Wilfrid, who they're escorting, wants to travel down to Rome, but I've always known that the journey, the historical journey that takes place, halts in France for quite a while, and I've got to kind of work out how Bearbrand fits in with the history. And as all of the history of the period that I write about in the 7th century, there's only a very few lines here and there in the Bernicia Chronicle, and there's a hagiography, the life of Wilfrid, the life of St Wilfrid, which tells us a little bit about what people from the time, or just shortly after Wilfrid's death, and the Venerable Bede as well, of course, writing just a few decades after the events, what they wanted us to know, and especially from an ecclesiastical perspective. So the history is very skewed towards making the religious people of the time look good, if the writer agreed with them. So we've definitely got this hagiography of Wilfrid. He can sort of do no wrong. Bede, again, I think is quite favourable towards Wilfrid. Historians are less favourable in many ways. So trying to sort of reconcile all of the little bits and snippets that I can find about the actual events that happened, and then, as usual, bringing in Bearbrand and the others into an exciting story that can interweave with the real history. So at the moment, I'm kind of reading through, and it feels a little bit like staggering around through a darkened forest, trying to find a clearing or a straight path that will take me through to the light at the end, where I can see this amazing story unfolding in front of me. So far that's not quite happened, although every now and again I do get glimpses of the light sort of dappling through the trees. So yeah, I think it's going to be another couple of weeks probably of research and generally stumbling around in this sort of dark forest with the lancing light coming down, and every now and again finding a little piece of earth lit up by some sort of light of inspiration. I think, oh, that's a little gem of interest I could put into the story. But yeah, the whole story hasn't quite hasn't shown itself to me, should I say. But anyway, it's getting there, and I'm on track. I think my deadline is to hand it in, the draft to the editor. I don't have to hand it in until May next year, so I've got time. But I always like to be actually getting the words down. At the moment, I'm not really doing anything apart from flapping around, floundering, reading histories and watching unusual YouTube videos and listening to podcasts and anything I can find really about the period. So yeah, that's that. And I got my comments back from my editor for my rewrites for A Time for Swords, and not Time for Swords, sorry, the sequel, A Night of Flames, and he's really happy with it. So I did some rewrites a couple of weeks ago, and he's very happy, and that's gone into production. So as far as I'm aware, that's that book done and dusted, apart from the copy edits and the proofread and things like that. But that's a great weight off my mind, because sometimes these things come back to haunt me right in the middle when I'm trying to focus on writing the next book. You sometimes get a lot of edits come through, and invariably I get things like having to do marketing and blog posts and things like that for the book that I wrote several months before when I'm writing the next one. So it's always a bit difficult to do that context switching, but at least the actual writing of it now is out of the way, so that's a great relief. So yeah, everything's good really. That's it. So yeah, family, it's interesting. It's trying to get back into the routine of writing and sort of day-to-day life, and slowly getting there. And I thought my youngest daughter, who's still at home with us, was supposed to be going to college, started going back to college, and now she's got a terrible cold and a cough, and obviously with the whole COVID thing going on, very worried that it's COVID, but I'm pretty sure it isn't. She's done several tests, and the lateral flow test, and it's not. And lots of her colleagues from work have got it, but she's at home, she hasn't gone to college. So I've suddenly thought I was going to have the house to myself and a lot of time to relax and sort of just focus and concentrate. Suddenly got a coughing, sickly daughter at home that I'm having to look after. Even though she's nearly 18, she still needs looking after, because who doesn't when they're ill? Anyway, that's it from me, signing out. So thanks again everyone for your patronage and for your support. And I know I say it at the end of all the videos and all of my posts, but really, if you've got anything you'd like me to cover in future videos or in the written posts or anything else, please let me know. I really would be happy to answer any specific questions or cover any specific things that you're interested in, because I know that it feels like sometimes I'm just kind of waffling about the same things all the time, because that's kind of my day to day, I guess, is very similar. Final comment, just make now as I'm thinking of it. The TV series, I know I said a few months ago that things are kind of faltered a bit. I'm still dubious as to what's going to happen, doubtful that anything's going to happen, because these things are so incredibly difficult. But the agent has now sent it out to, I think, 3 different companies and is chasing them up, and so you never know. Maybe at some point in the near future we might at least be meeting with people and talking to them about it. And I think there's probably, even if things go incredibly well, there's still probably many months or even years of pre-production and discussions and all that sort of thing before anything would happen. But let's see, watch this space and fingers crossed. Thanks again, stay safe, speak to you soon, bye.